Hi, and welcome to another video from Howell Reese Artist. I hope this finds you well wherever you are in the world. In this video we're going to look at the second part of painting the classic British landscape that I introduced in the last video. That landscape is part of what's something called Upland Britain, and very much part of the Industrial Revolution as well. The Lumsdale Valley was extensively used for industry, but is now reverting to its natural state as that industry has moved elsewhere. Now, last week, or in the last video, if you remember, I got as far as painting. Let me just switch over to the live screen share. I got as far as painting the background, or part of the background anyway, about half of it roughly, which was this bottom part, and including the lower third-ish of the waterfall. And I just want to, before I carry on, and in this video we're going to paint a bit more of the water, I'm going to show you the end result. I just want to zoom in on this bottom part of the waterfall. Let's go back to the original photograph. That's what the camera took on the day. Let me just move that over just a touch. That's what the camera took on the day. There wasn't a great deal of water in the river that day. It's been a very dry winter and spring, or it had been a very dry winter and spring in this country, and has carried on into a dry summer. And compared to previous years, there wasn't a great deal of water coming down the falls. So actually, one of the things I set out to do is not just paint the water, but slightly enhance it. So let me show you the result. That's the painting. That's the original photo. Painting, photo, and you can see that I've basically just subtly, I haven't gone mad, but I've given the impression of more water coming down the falls. What I'd like to do today is just show you that process in painting this middle section of the falls here. That's not present at the moment, so we need to go in and paint it. So let's zoom in on that part, make it in sort of the middle of your screen, and what I want to do is paint from this lip here down to this V shape towards the bottom of your screen. Now on the right hand side of your screen you can see there's a piece of rock protruding, which is dry. Water's going behind it. I want to keep it that way, but this rock on the left, it's got some water coming over it, and that's the part we'll enhance. Just quickly painting around the rock, not spending a great deal of time because I don't want there to be a great deal of detail in this area. I don't want that detail to possibly distract my viewers. I want them to look at the waterfall rather than that, but it is important just to get the edge there, and I'll just come a little bit the other side of the edge in very small strokes. Which are capturing what the camera took without distorting it very much. There we go. So now we can come to the actually painting the water. For that I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. because we don't need very precise brush strokes. So I'm going to, as I said, start from this ledge up here, which I think I'll go back to a standard size brush to just paint that ledge in to start with. That gives me the top to start from. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger, and then you can just freely come down. Following the patterns in the water, the grain, if you like. Seems a sort of slightly odd word to use when it comes to water, but you can see there are definite striations in the water pattern, and I want to keep those because they basically they make it realistic. Without those patterns, it would just be a blur. And while it's you know, to some extent a blur because we're trying to get this smoky water effect, as it's sometimes called, we don't want it too much. We don't want it to just be a smear. There has to be some texture for the brain to see, so they can understand what's going on. Like, yeah, left some holes there. Let me just always happens when you're going quickly. And that's as a final little thing before we do some enhancement. Let's just come down here and start to paint that in. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Now I just need to come up a little bit more. That'll do. Now, what I'd like to show you now is that that's pretty much what the water was doing. What I'd like to do now is put some enhancement in there. To do that, I want to pick up some of the patterning in the water, which I've done there. I've turned the paint on, and now I can just come down and, as it were, provide a bit more water magically. And fill in just a little bit. I don't want to go mad. Just fill in these areas where the rocks are showing through. Being careful just to keep the patterning when you come down to this bottom edge here. That is important, just to bring the water that I'm adding right down to the edge of the rocks. Can't obviously finish in mid-air, as it were. It's got to come right the way down. So you just need to be careful with that, but you don't have to be super careful. You don't have to be sort of, you know, make it just a uniform textureless curtain. You can still keep the, there we are, you can still keep the texture. And now we've gone from that rather small flow to that rather larger flow, and it needs a little bit of tidying up down here, and that will take some time, and I won't bore you with that. But that is basically the process that we go through. So if I zoom out and turn off the background, you've now got the lower part of the falls, the middle part of the falls, and there's just the upper part of the falls to do. And then we can talk about actually how we treat the rest of this background, which has a story to tell, but it's got to be in its right place. Right. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found that interesting. I'll sign off now and wish you all a good remainder of your week and every blessing until we speak again. All the best to you now.